Testing.
Oh, there it is. Oh, it's 5 o'clock, everyone.
Welcome to the August 20th, 2026 Parma City School District Board of Education regular meeting. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio. It's 5:01, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick. Mr. McCune.
Present.
Mrs. McTaggart. Mrs. Sebastian. Mr. Reyes.
Present.
Before we move into the agenda, I want to thank everyone for the time and preparation that goes into Before we move into the agenda, I want to thank everyone for the time and preparation that goes into reviewing our materials in advance. The agenda and supporting documentation were distributed earlier this week via email to support thoughtful discussion and effective decision-making as a board. Adequate review helps us work efficiently together and ensures we're prepared for any action items this evening. This aligns with Board Policy 0123, which reflects our shared commitment to being informed on the issues that are before us. With that in mind, can we confirm that all members have received and reviewed the materials for tonight's meeting? Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Mr. McCune.
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-361, approval of the board meeting agenda.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-361. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Mr. McCune. Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Resolution 2026-08-361 has been approved. I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-362, approval of the written record of proceedings, August 6, 2026 regular and August 12th and August 18th, 2026 special board meetings.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-362. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Mr. McCune.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Resolution 2026-08-362 has been approved. Do we have any amendments? We do not. So we will now move into information to the board. Dr. Hunt.
Thank you. I'm going to click share it. Okay, thank you. So tonight I wanted to share with the board, as I said that I would, the work of the Task Force on School Safety. I shared earlier this year that I would be pulling together a task force to take a very close look at school safety and security following our tragedy here at Valley Forge. Tonight is the culmination of that work, so I've asked members of the task force to present to the board as well, so it won't just be me sharing with you. So I'm going to talk through several items here. First, up front, I want to talk a little bit about the purpose and the charge for pulling this together. I'm going to tell you about the process that we went through to establish some recommendations that you will see this evening. I'm going to talk about those 6 areas of focus. We're going to talk about some key themes, and I have Dr. Ken Trump here to help out, and I'll do a little intro to him when we get to the themes portion of this. And we have our subcommittees that are going to report out, so you'll hear from various people specific to the committees that really did the bulk of the work. And then I'm going to talk about our commitment moving forward. So our purpose and charge for the committee, the task force, was to conduct a comprehensive review of our safety, security, preparedness, student well-being, and emergency response practices. And again, I can share with you, we spent a great deal of time, and our subcommittee spent a great deal of time really focused in on that review. And you're going to hear more about that in a little bit. We wanted to make sure that in the task force, so we brought together district leaders, staff, families, community members, law enforcement, first responders, students, and other stakeholders. We wanted to make sure that in our discussions, we were able to identify strengths, opportunities for improvement, and actionable recommendations. And then really we need to approach school safety as an integrated system where we have a focus on prevention, that we have a focus on being prepared, that we can speak to our response and recovery. Certainly you're going to hear a little bit about climate in terms of school culture, district culture, communication, facilities, and partnerships. So here's the process. So we launched our first meeting on May 19th at Normandy High School. Again, school safety expert Dr. Ken Trump provided some guidance and participated in subcommittee discussions. He also served as a co-chair with me. Members organized, actually it's 5 study areas, not 6. There are 5 subcommittees that were assigned work. On the 18th of this month, a couple of days ago, our subcommittees came together here at Valley Forge to talk through their discussions and their research and their findings, and to make some proposed recommendations that we can make actionable here in the future. And the full task force really identified areas where we agreed we needed to focus on. So there were some overlapping priorities, there were some themes throughout, and the recommendations to move forward. So these were the last one was not a subcommittee, so I prepped this prior to. So we had physical security and facility safety, we had emergency operations, crisis response, mental health supports and threat assessment, communication systems and family engagement, and student behavior supports and school climate. And so there were some key themes, but I want to first, if I could, take a minute to introduce Dr. Ken Trump. Dr. Trump is a Cleveland-based, nationally recognized school safety and security expert. He has over 40 years of experience in this field. He's the president of the National School Safety and Security Services Group. He's the author of 3 books and about 450 plus articles on school safety. Earned his doctorate from Johns Hopkins University. Needless to say, he's sought after nationally on school safety and security issues. So, Dr. Trump, if you would take the podium and we can talk through some of the key themes here. Thank you.
Test 1, 2, there we go. Still red, so I thought I was muted for a while. Hard to do. So, good evening, everybody. Dr. Hunt, thank you, and members of the board and members of the community as well. I appreciate the opportunity to be part of this. It's especially nice to be able to work locally, as a great deal of my work's across the country over the 40-plus years that I've been in the field. Just for the record, I started as a young kid, if you're doing the math and wondering, how old is he really? The interesting part, having been through many of these situations, and I've worked on some of the major mass shootings in the country, single incident, wrongful death losses, and from the litigation end of things, rape, other sexual assaults, a lot of serious high-profile incidents, is there have been a lot of community meetings, groups, and organizations I've been a part of. And I have to genuinely say that this has been one of the most productive task-oriented group, and I want to thank Dr. Hunt for his leadership, because when you hear the word task force, you think, this is going to be a long project. And in the 4 months that we were here, I think we really got a lot of practical things done, and a lot of the people in the room were genuine and serious. I've been in enough meetings where I could see where you have people at the table from the community organizations and the district that are really genuine and sincere. One of the things that I asked Dr. Hunt asked me to open the session with is to give a national view. And one of the points I made is to stress the positive things that you have in place. We do independent security assessments in schools across the country, and too often, particularly after a high-profile incident, we zero in on looking for who did something wrong, or what went wrong, or what do we have to do to guarantee that something won't happen again. And we fail to pause to take a minute to say, let's talk about the good things that we're doing that are in place that help kids and support school safety. And I've never been in a school in my 4 decades plus in this nation that don't have many positive things in place. And likewise, I've not been in a district that doesn't have room for continued growth and improvement in it, because school safety is a process. It's not an event. It's not a single incident thing that you can do. And there's an enormous amount of pressure on school boards, building administrators, principals, and district leadership and the community after a high-profile incident to do something, do anything, do it fast, and do it now. And oftentimes that results in what we call shiny object syndrome, as I call it, target hardening, things to get visible, tangible things to say, see, we did something. We put in weapons detection systems, and we put in a lot more hardware. And oftentimes that comes with a lot of false promises, a lot of guarantees that you really can't give, because there's no 100% guarantee of security from the schoolhouse to the White House. And it comes with fidelity of implementation. School safety is not a plug-and-play sport. You just can't plug something into the front door and then fail to realize that schools, this high school and others, operate sometimes on a near 24/7 basis, 7 days a week till 10 o'clock at night at things. And things that you think will give you that instant feeling of a guarantee, a lot of things that are most impactful in school safety and security are really less visible and or invisible, but more impactful. And it's hard for community and parents, as a parent, to understand and appreciate that, because you want that guarantee. That's normal. Any parent wants that guarantee. It's scary when something happens. Parents want their kids to be dropped off in the morning and come home a little bit smarter, and definitely as safe as when they dropped them off in the morning. So it's not just an easy, quick fix. If it was, I would have been finished at 30 or maybe 20 years in this instead of 40. So with that, I think communities want 3 things based on my experience after a number of high-profile incidents. They want to see action, they want to see accountability, and they want to see communications. And I think that the task force addresses those in the different recommendations that you'll hear. The specific themes that you see here, just to highlight the big picture, and there's a much more detailed report coming from the committee on this. But some common themes are written emergency plans do not define preparedness. One of the things we say now nationally, with big conversation, is we need to move from compliance, meaning we check the box of what states require, to a culture of school safety. And I think that culture exists. The question is, how can you strengthen that culture, where it's everybody's job. And school safety is a job of everyone, students, parents, staff members, from your custodian to your superintendent to your board, and many other people involved. And that's always a challenge, because the only thing we have less of in school districts today than money is time, as building administrators and teams. Plans must be practical, accessible, understood, communicated, and coordinated with first responders and tested. The challenge is not what you have on paper, but the saying as we work with schools across the country is, are you doing what you say you're doing? And I'm sure as boards you deal with that regularly with policy. How's policy translated into implementation, and what does that look like? Reunification and evacuation procedures should be operational, not simply documented. This is a challenge that building principals and their teams have across the country, supported by district leadership. We have to make sure that building teams and administrators actually don't just designate the evacuation site, but how would that work? Have you been there? Have you visited? Where would you stage kids? How are you going to release kids? Where's the parking? Who's going to respond to that? Who's the advanced person? So we talk a lot about getting into the weeds of the planning of reunification and evacuation and the lessons that you learned earlier this year in dealing with that. And there's no, the truth is, which is tough for parents and for boards, is sometimes at best your goal is organized chaos when something happens. But you want to try to reduce the risks of the chaos and be prepared, and you do that by getting into the weeds of planning for something you hope you'll never have to use again. Staff and students need appropriate preparation for the decisions they're making. Kids ask for information. Kids want information too. We had some students on the task force, and they're interested. Obviously, that's age and developmentally appropriate. We're not going to be speaking at an elementary level the same as we would with high school kids, but engaging students. Students oftentimes have the best ideas and the simplest things. One of the things that came out from one of the students was they'd like to see additional training for school staff on health, medical, emergency medical, and different health and medical CPR, different staff situations like that. And kids were talking about just day-to-day health issues that kids may have and then how that may impact an evacuation. Independent review and continuous evaluation. Again, it's an ongoing process, and having an outside eye, there's nothing like we don't want to assume that our first responders and community partners know what's in our plans. We want to build them together and make sure everybody's as close to being on the same page as you can. And I know there were conversations here about police having building floor plans and access control and things that Bill's worked with the safety and security team here in the district to make sure, again, they get down into the weeds. Strengthening evacuation, parent-student reunification protocols, differentiating rally points on campus, like a fire drill to reunification off-site. Planning for students and staff with disability, mobility impairments, medications, medical needs. I think that's very important. As we look across the country, we see our children in our schools have very diverse and many different special needs, whether those students with disabilities, and that is a very broad continuum, and we want to make sure that they're included and considerations about them are included and with them are included when you're talking about if you have to evacuate a school, go to a different site. How does that really work for kids who may be mobility impaired, who may be self-contained in certain rooms, who have autism and other special needs? And I think that's a very important conversation. It's not a one-size-fits-all. Examining first aid, CPR, and emergency response, as I mentioned, coordinating the plans with your first responders. Simple things a lot of times. Question I ask, if you had to call transportation at 10:30 in the morning, how many buses would you need to get kids out of this high school or Normandy to move to an off-distance site that they couldn't walk to? These are the things that you have to get into when you say in the weeds of the planning. And ensuring that emergency operations plans are functional and active tools that you can use and that are updated. Just knowing your site. How do I get into our walking distance site? If it would be a church, for example, who's there? So putting plans from paper into practice and a culture and an ongoing process. So I'll be back for part 2. Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. So now we're going to move into our subcommittee report out. So we'll have a variety of different individuals, including myself, that will provide a report out for you in each of the subcommittees. So when you come up to speak, if you would please just your name and your role or who you represent so that the audience and the board knows. So our first order of business, though, when we talked through the subcommittees, we asked them, as you are considering putting forth recommendations, that you prioritize what we're looking at. Like with any plan or any action that we may take, some will be immediate, some will be short-term, and some will be longer-term. So we asked each group, like, consider, the urgency and feasibility, the potential impact and resource requirements. Because as you know, many things that we may consider putting into action, it might cost money, it might cost time, it might cost human resources. So we asked each group to consider each of these areas and how they might bring that forward. So our first subcommittee report out was, the subcommittee was physical security and facility safety, and Bill Pelko is going to talk through this slides.
Good evening. First, I want to thank Dr. Hunt for inviting me to be on this committee. I'm Bill Pelko. I'm Supervisor of Safety and Security and Student Wellness here at Parma City Schools. I'd also like to thank my team members who were on this task force with me. That included Nick Reyes, Detective Sergeant Taylor of Parma Heights PD, Sergeant Schuld from Parma PD, Assistant Principal Todd Fennell, and a nice young man who's a student here, Brady Chambers, who was very inquisitive and had some great insight to us, and a student right here from Valley Forge. So I thank my team members for helping me out with this. So at first, Dr. Hunt wanted us and Dr. Trump wanted us to look at what are the positive strengths for our physical structures, physical buildings and structures. So one of the great positive things we have going on for us here at the district is our cameras. We have numerous cameras inside, outside of all of our buildings. We've got cameras in the buses, GPSs in the buses, which can pretty much track anybody and any vehicle anywhere in the district. Another outstanding thing that we're doing is we have our new visitor management system from Navigate 360, which we're implementing at the first of the year, hopefully starting on Tuesday. This is an electronically digital visitors management system. There'll be an iPad at the entrance of every vestibule. A visitor will have to come in, show their ID, scan that. That ID information will be checked against the sexual registry and any alerts that we might have in the system for the visitor. If there's an alert, we won't let them in. We'll call the authorities, administration, safety and security, and we'll deal with it accordingly. They will then get a badge. If they're good to come in and visit, they will get a badge printed up with their picture on it and directed in the right location. And then we'll have electronically tracked that they're in the building, and then we'll electronically track them when they leave the building as well. One of the other things we thought that was great was our communications with students and staff. Again, Brady, the student here at Valley Forge, talked about how all the staff here at Valley Forge and across the district that he deals with is great to communicate with. If there's any issues or problems, he had no concerns with talking with them. Going into that, he also talked about how the relationships with admin, safety, and security and staff and students is just outstanding. We talked about the see something, say something, how all the students here and the staff don't have a problem with notifying somebody if there's something, they think something's wrong or think something is suspicious. They have no hesitation to let us know. Those were our key strengths. So now our area of concerns that we talked about were the doors open at night where anybody can access the building and there's no security. This is typically occurring at the high schools and middle schools. A lot of reasons for this are because of athletics, band, extracurricular activities. Nobody's monitoring the doors, and people can come in and out of the buildings with no security at all. So that is something we definitely need to address. One of the other issues are building structures. You all know our schools are outdated. They're old. I think the average building is like 75 years old. We think we need some new buildings and new schools for everybody involved to improve security. These schools that we currently have numerous doors, numerous windows. The parking lots are insufficient for dismissal and arrival. It just would help tremendously across the board with new schools. We talk about night security. There's currently no night security at any of our buildings and stuff. We think that would be a great recommendation to have some night security. And then one other concern was student shadowing. At some of our schools, if there's a new student, they're allowed to come in and shadow another student for the day. There's currently not really a screening process for that. The student can come in, there's no background check in regards to the student, and the student can bring book bag in, and typically they're not checked. So we would like to have a policy or something with that if a student comes in to let them know that we'll be searching them and checking them to make sure they're not bringing any contraband or weapons into the building. Another area of concern is our cameras. Although I previously said our cameras are awesome and we have a lot of them in place, there are some blind spots. There are some cameras that are getting outdated. Technology advances and they need to be updated. So we think that needs to be an improvement as well. So with that said, our recommendations or improvements are keep all doors locked at all times. We would like all doors alarmed. This way, if there's an intruder or if there's a breach, we would know which door it is and where it's coming from. We would like a student shadowing policy. We would like to keep and continue to update our cameras, continue to build relationships and communication. And we would also like to see students have IDs, especially in the high school and middle schools. This would make everybody accountable, especially at sporting events when students are there. Everybody would know who they are and where they belong to what school. So with that, I'll take any questions.
Thanks, Bill. Appreciate it. Well, why don't we hold questions so that we can
All
get
right.
through the presentation? Thank you, Bill.
Thank you.
Dr. Trump, you're back up. Our Emergency Operations Crisis Response.
I'd also like to recognize the subcommittee members, Dr. Amy Cruz, who is delivering her child at that time of the year for the college today, but really was a strong leader in getting into where the district is, what's being in progress. I don't think we ever met without talking about things she already said that's going on in the district just over the summer, which is always a challenging accomplishment. Board member Kerpick and student Chris Wade from Normandy gave some valuable input as well. The strengths, as we talked about in some of the themes, just to reiterate here, established emergency plans, evacuation sites, and routine required drills are in place. Strong first responder relationships, as an example, one sergeant for Parma mentioned that the police have building maps and access control, and that was verified with the different departments thanks to Bill's work. Underway visitor management system in place to strengthen visitor management procedures to track who's in your building as you can, or at least to try to get your arms around that with an updated system, electronic system. Crisis intervention, de-escalation, and CSTAG threat assessment training, if I may. There was training done this summer. Dr. Cruz shared crisis intervention and verbal de-escalation teams were taken to that training, and I think you can't understate the importance of these types of things. We're talking in emergency operations and response, but really if you have the crisis intervention and the de-escalation and the threat assessment, hopefully you'll never get to the crisis response because you won't have the crisis. Trying to get ahead of that. The CSTAG stands for Comprehensive School Threat Assessment Guidelines. That's a threat assessment training by Dr. Dewey Cornell out of University of Virginia, who actually happens to be a dear friend, and Dewey's sort of the godfather of school threat assessment, very heavily research-based and studied on implementation in schools across the country. It's the model that I recommend. There are different models, but it's the most research-based, school-specific model, so I think you have a very strong model of that. The challenge with that comes in any school across the country is fidelity of implementation, and I know that one of the things, work in progress, is using one of the systems to make sure that's standardized across the district, that threat assessments, when they are done with students, follow that student through the different grade levels so that when a student's at an upper grade at a high school, they're not, the administrative teams and teams aren't blindsided and didn't know that something happened in middle school 3 or 4 years later, and it's something that would have informed them better how to support the child and how to reduce any, how to assess and evaluate the threats. So those are just a few of the strengths and practices there that we wanted to flag this evening. Key gaps and concerns, again, reunification, sites being identified, but building level operational details, as I mentioned earlier, need further development, as I say, getting into the weeds, having the building teams build this out and do the what ifs they actually had to use it, and how would this really work? We have it on paper, how's it work? And that takes some time. After hours events, as Bill said, there's not a school across the country that doesn't struggle with dealing with after-school security, and that's from the time that students leave until the time the building's theoretically locked up. Notice how I say at high schools we know there's always something going on, sometimes till 10 o'clock or later at night. How do you manage that? How do you supervise that? And how do you balance out the need for security and supervision at the same time with community use of the schools? Schools are an integral part of their community, and could you just imagine not having your schools open and available for after school and into the evening activities? the downside that would have. And then, but at the same time, how do you really get your arms around that with different types of activities? And there's no 100% solution to this. Emergency communication systems not routinely tested. That was a big issue of just making sure that we have them. Let's make sure they work and testing quarterly. I know it was mentioned several times by our board member, and from a parent perspective of making sure that you have the tools, and that the role falls on the parents too. You have to keep updated information. You can have the tool, but if parents aren't keeping it updated, it doesn't do any good, and then parents can't blame the school system if they didn't get the message when your numbers aren't up because things change. So we talked about that. Expectations surrounding communications with families. In emergencies, what we advise and what we talked about here is letting parents in the community know how you will receive information, because there's no guarantee. You may say that your evacuation site is X, Y, and Z place down the street, but an emergency may dictate you can't go that way. So parents, you can't template all the information ahead of time. But you do need to let parents know, where are we going to communicate with you? How are you going to get this? Is it by email, push message, emergency message, et cetera? So discussing how do you implement those communication systems so parents can be informed and know where to look. So strengthening that and conducting scenario-based training. Dr. Cruz mentioned doing what-if scenarios that you started last school year just for teachers. Well, what if you're in the middle of a lockdown or in this area? What if you were in the cafeteria at breakfast or at lunch? Start thinking through something beyond the actual drill itself. The priority and timelines are listed there with all the rollouts we noticed in fall, which is a good sign. Things are moving with visitor management, threat assessment, advancing that emergency communications and partnerships with the Ohio School Safety Center and other outside entities.
Thank you, Dr. Trump. Then we're going to move to our mental health supports and threat assessment. Brittany Henry.
Good evening. My name is Brittany Henry. I'm the admin specialist of student supports in Parma City School. I'd like to acknowledge the other committee members that I worked with, and that was Ohio Guidestone, NAMI, and Cornerstone, as well as Amanda Roos, PTA member and local community advocate. So when we were diving into our area, we really wanted to focus on the threat assessment and suicide screening procedures, as well as other mental health supports. In Parma, we do have established consistent implementation for our threat assessment and suicide screenings across the buildings and teams put in place. Another strength was our strong community partnerships that we do have with some of the individuals who sat on the committee with me, as well as distinct support staff in our district. We have a lot of comprehensive students' wellness programs already implemented in our district. At the elementary level, you'll see Second Step, which is used in the classrooms to talk about social emotional learning. We also have Sources of Strength at our high schools, which is a student voice type of program. So the students are leading the initiatives in the building. And then in our health classes, oftentimes you see that we have curriculums that are required to address things like House Bill 123 and Senate Bill 288. When exploring these different areas, the gaps we saw were making sure there's proper follow-up whenever a student has to have assessment done, whether it's CSAG or suicide screening. The gaps were the referral pathways afterwards or the follow-up when they're returning to the building, whether that was with a local community partnership and the resources that the student was connected with or the parents. Another area was strengthening those referral pathways to address the gaps for underserved or underinsured and privately insured families. Ohio Guidestone does a wonderful job serving our students who have Medicaid, but then we struggle sometimes to get some of our other students connected. Ensuring fidelity and implementation across our district from K to 12, not just with the programming in our districts, like the curriculums that we're using, but also when a student is transitioning from one grade band to the next, making sure they continue to get the level of support that they were getting for their mental health supports and needs when they go from elementary to middle school and middle school to high school. And then lastly, ensuring the consistent team representation. Our district is full of expertise, whether it's our support staff or administration, and making sure the right people are on the right teams and in the right places, and that their voices can be heard, along with our students and our parents. And making sure that when these roles are identified, that there's no crossover between two different individuals, and appropriate boundaries are understood of what a school counselor is and a clinical therapist is. Our recommendations was for immediate action. So establishing a permanent student wellness team to monitor our student wellness trends, supports, interventions, as well as our initiatives, and also creating some long-term goals to schedule for initiatives. A student wellness team will allow us to dive deeper into the data from our CSTAG and suicide screenings, as well as work with parents, students, and community partners to build up our initiatives and identify programs that we need to add to our district to support our students. Thank you.
Thank you, Brittany. Our next subcommittee group was Communication Systems and Family Engagement. Angela Schwark.
Angela Schwark, parent in the district, and I'm also active in PTA and other areas of the district. So we spoke a lot about our current strengths. As a parent, I shared that I feel like we have a heavy social media presence, robocalls, emails, texts, the YouTube channel. We also, I can speak for sure for Pleasant Valley and Mrs. Boca's newsletters that we get out every 2 weeks. I mean, if you're looking for information, actually, even if you're not looking for information, it's kind of hard for it to not find its way to you. So as a parent, like I said, I feel like the communication is pretty well. We have started the new community conversations as it pertains to the communication systems and family engagement. Our gaps that we spoke about, we have a need for greater outreach for family engagement and participation of families. That's a tough one. I say that we also struggle with it with PTA. We chatted about maybe going out into the community outside of the district buildings to try and engage families in different ways. And we also spoke about the inconsistency, but getting consistency in communication apps that educators use, which are amazing. It's amazing to be able to send messages to the educators as it pertains to your child and get messages as it pertains to your child. But I know that I have had to download a few different ones, so it would be really helpful if there was kind of a mainstreamed communication app that maybe the district used as a whole. So our recommended actions that we spoke about were to provide opportunities for the family engagement in community settings, which that one's immediate and we can start the work on that one pretty quickly. Focus groups to understand what type of communication families want. That's a short-term goal because that's also something that's fairly easy. We did also talk about the difference of knowing what information is privy to parents and what information is maybe not appropriate for parents to get, which I think that might cause a little bit of the issue where communication concerns are. And then we also spoke about the uniformed apps for communication at the building level. That's more of a long-term thing just because it's kind of already widely in process with educators using different ones, and we've now started another school year, so that's kind of down the train tracks, if you will. So, yeah, that's it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Angela. Next subcommittee group was Student Behavior Supports and School Climate. And so let me talk briefly about the strengths and current practices. Evident that we have a caring staff and teachers district-wide. We identified College Now, one of our outside organizations that supports our students. They're a great support for our students, and having those types of relationships with those types of organizations are beneficial for everyone. And certainly we can talk about this one all day. Our career tech programming, not only is it high level, it's also, it creates an incentive for students to come to school and to feel like they belong. But some key gaps and concerns in this space: lack of adult presence and interaction in our hallways during times of transitions, start and end of school, and between periods. A lack of teamwork and communication between the resources that are available to students and families, and a lack of aligned disciplining and expectations and for equity across administrators and staff. So the recommended actions here: to provide a positive presence in hallways, lunch, and bathroom by all teachers and staff, and we can do that immediately as we head into the fall. Another recommended action is to design and implement a freshman day tradition, an event that we would hold at the beginning of the year where incoming freshmen can walk their schedules, participate in games and activities, to build connection, to meet with student leaders, to meet with different clubs, and that's something that we can discuss as we hit mid-year and we start planning for the fall. And to implement a consistent approach across buildings that includes consistent discipline, restorative practices, and student supports. And that's something we think we can develop over the course of the year for implementation, again, as we head into next fall. So those are committee, subcommittee report outs. But I just wanted to talk about our commitment to this work. We believe it's important that we continuously evaluate and strengthen prevention. We talked a lot about some actions that we can take in the physical safety and security of the buildings. And I think Dr. Trump would agree, because I know that he said this, and this starts with relationships with our students and our families. This is something that I've said in our new teacher orientation, that I've encouraged everyone to make sure that they establish those relationships with our students, know their names, be in the hallways, be present, understand what our families need. So this will help us as we commit into the future here to make sure that we are preparing our people to respond effectively, that we have the necessary supports in place for students and staff, that we're able to maintain safe and secure facilities, that we strengthen our trusted partnerships with families, first responders, and the community, and that we ensure that students and staff are not only safe, but they feel safe when they come to our buildings, that they feel supported, that they're connected to the district, and that they're prepared in the event that we have to respond to an emergency. So I'd like to thank the task force. It was an incredible amount of work to pull a group of approximately 28, 29 individuals together from a variety of different perspectives to focus in on each of these areas to bring forward these recommendations. So next step, I thought I would have it prepared by today, but with school opening, I will provide for you an executive summary of the work in writing, not just a presentation. So I hope to have that to you at least by the next board meeting, if not sooner. So I'll be compiling the rest of the information and the recommendations into that document. That's all I have. Thank you.
If I may, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Hunt, for allowing me to serve on this committee. I thoroughly enjoyed the work that we did. I also really enjoyed working with Dr. Trump and Dr. Cruz. Dr. Trump really is just a wealth of knowledge of anything related to school safety and security. I was so impressed with everything that you shared with us, and I want to say thank you again for everything you did to make this happen. You were wonderful to work with. And Dr. Cruz as well. I was really blown away with all of the information that she just off the top of her head knew about what we are currently doing and how to implement the things that we would like to do and the changes we would like to make. It was just a great experience to hear everything that we're going to put in place and everything that we have in place. So thank you again for letting me serve on that. I really appreciate it.
I just also wanted to thank the task force, Dr. Trump, Dr. Hunt, the community members, the community agencies, our staff, and also the timeliness. I talked about that. I feel like, you know, just not only Dr. Hunt, but the school district, you know, we wanted to act. I know families wanted us to act, and I think, you talked about that. And I think we did. I think we acted fast. And what I hear from the presentations is this is something that is continuing. I heard a lot of recommendations that, you know, we're involving families, we're involving students, and there is a big need for flexibility when you're talking about safety. You know, we've seen a lot of that with, you know, just not only with our district, but many districts, you know, struggle when it's, you know, doing everything in theory and then in practice it looks much different. So I just appreciate everyone for all the hard work that they did, and for our board member participation in our committees. It was really hard for me to sit this one out, but I wanted to give everybody else an opportunity to do that. I knew I was going to be getting that information. So just like I said, once again, I would like to thank everybody. I do have one question though, Dr. Hunt. So are we, I know you said you're going to give us an executive summary, so I'm guessing, are we going to have Dr. Trump back, or is he going to continue to consult with us? What does that look like?
So I won't speak for Dr. Trump, but he did assure me that he'd be willing to continue to assist us into the future. As we look at our recommendations, one thing that we talked about was we need to get to our families with this information. And so looking at, you know, bringing Dr. Trump in to maybe speak to our community about school safety and security and what that means and what that looks like, and, you know, how they can be part of it with us.
I love that idea. Thank you. Does that conclude your presentation?
That concludes my report. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you again. So we will move on to committee meeting reports. We do have those attached. There, I believe we have, I can't see that far. I believe it's business and policy we have attached. Is that correct? Oh, business, finance, and policy. So if anybody is interested, they can go ahead. That's in our board docs. And then I will move into communications. Or I'm sorry, yes, communications. Board members. Do you have any communications? Anybody? No? Oh, well, go ahead. You can go. You can. And I can just take that off my list.
I just wanted to say thank you to everyone who helped to make the Back to School Community Fair a success. I was there along with the rest of the board, and I was blown away last year, and I was blown away again this year. It's so fun to see all the different buildings and what they want to bring to highlight. My son's by far favorite part was the PAGE program and the Legos that they had. He also really enjoyed playing with the Valley Forge football team, who are trying to convince him to not be an invader. So we'll see how that goes.
Nice, healthy competition there. And we also held a movie night, I believe, at what was on the,
Inside Out 2.
I didn't stay for the movie.
Inside
sorry.
Out 2.
Inside Out 2.
Yeah.
So you did stay for the movie.
A little bit, yeah.
Okay. Okay, and so in my communications, I just wanted to talk about the board held a retreat. We focused on strengthening our governance practices, how we can work together as a board. We also discussed board norms, communications, roles, responsibilities, and ways to ensure our work remains focused on effective governance and supporting the district. I appreciated the opportunity for us to have those conversations, and we established some shared expectations and norms moving forward. Also, this week, we had new teacher orientation. On Monday, I had the opportunity to attend the kickoff of the new teacher orientation. It was very exciting to see so many new faces joining our district. I especially appreciated Dr. Hunt's welcome and his message about reaching all students and reminding our staff of the support available to them as they begin the new school year. I believe our new teacher orientation was 3 days, so Monday, Tuesday, and then ending on Wednesday. I also had the opportunity of attending the new teacher breakfast that is always hosted by our Parma Area Chamber of Commerce, and Tri-C is the host. It was another wonderful opportunity to welcome, I believe, approximately 57 new teachers and administrators around there, and to see the strong community support that came around to support the teachers. So it's really been busy and exciting start to the school year. So with that being said, I just wanted to kind of end with 2 quotes, one for teachers, one for students. So the first one is by Henry Adams: "A teacher affects eternity. He can never tell where his influence stops." So that's for all of our teachers as we start the new year. And then as we welcome all of our students back into our buildings on Tuesday, the 25th, I want to say to them, as we begin a new school year, I hope every one of our students sees this as a new opportunity, a new beginning, a chance to learn something new, discover something new about themselves, make new connections, and take another step forward. So I wish all students, staff, and families a great year. That concludes my communications. I know you have communications, Mr. Nucio.
No. I will let Melissa pull it up. Okay. So we can go to the next slide. Okay, so the 5-year forecast we now have to do in February and August, which makes no sense at all, but that's what the legislators changed the rules, because we haven't received our property tax final settlement. We don't get that until September, and we're supposed to estimate our property taxes without knowing what it is, without the adjustments from the county. So same thing in the beginning of the year, we have to do it in February, but we don't get our final settlement of property taxes until March. And as we said earlier at the last meeting, 67% of our property tax, 60% of our revenue, 67% of our revenue comes from property taxes. So it'd be a good idea to know what those are before you do a forecast, but legislators thinks differently. So 2 things I tell people about the 5-year forecast. If you don't understand anything about it, understand line 6.01 and 15.01. So 6.01 is your revenues over your expenditures. Are you bringing in more money than you're spending? And if it's negative, you're spending more money than you're bringing in, which is the case for us in all 5 years of the forecast. So with that happening, 15.01 is your fund balance. So if you have negative spending in 6.01, the fund balance is going to go down every year, which is the case for us. And year 29, 30, and 31 were negative, which the Ohio Department of Education and Workforce is going to look at the 3rd year and see that we have a negative fund balance, which Dr. Hunt discussed at the last meeting. And they're going to send us a letter saying you need to come up with a plan to correct that problem. So that's what we're seeing here. Go to the next slide. So House Bill 96, so I discussed that it's not lining up where we should be going back to April and November for the 5-year forecast, and there's a disconnect with the timeline and the data, which I mentioned earlier. Go to the next slide, please. So one of the House bills that was passed was House Bill 186, which relates to inflation, so that you have to use the GDP deflator, and counties have to go back and look to see if people paid more than the GDP deflator, and that's what caused all the tax bills to be pushed back 1 month from July 13th last year. I think it's now, it was July 17th last year, and it's August 13th this year. So we didn't get our final settlement for property taxes, which is causing a cash flow problem for us and every other school district in the county. There's also House Bill 180, the House Bill 186 is also in February and August. So in February, we didn't know what our final settlement is because we have this clawback with the House Bill, the GDP deflator. So we couldn't really estimate our property taxes for either of the month, but we still had to submit a forecast without knowing the information, which is not the best thing to do. Also, if there's a new governor elected, which is going to happen this November, the governor has until March 15th to submit his or her budget, whoever wins the election. But we have to do our forecast by February 28th, and the budget is due by March 15th, and we're not going to even know what the revenue and expenditures from the state level are until May or June. So how do we know our state funding when we have to do a forecast before the governor even submits his budget, which makes absolutely no sense, but that's the state legislator. Can you go to the next slide, please? So here are the 4 bills that are kind of important, major bills. First one, House Bill 129. It used to be if you had an emergency levy, that does not count towards the 20 mil floor. And so every time there will be a property reevaluation, if property values go up, and that causes our effective millage to go below 20, it automatically got bumped up to 20 mils, which means we got more money. But they changed the rules now that the emergency levies count towards the 20 mil floor, so that causes us to lose almost $3 million a year, which hurts us. House Bill 186, there wasn't much impact on us because we estimated lower than we should for property taxes on that, so it didn't really affect us. House Bill 309 really doesn't affect us either, but it gives the Budget Commission power to say, you guys are getting too much property taxes, we're going to hold some of it back. Which if a community voted for that and said, we want those taxes taken out, why should the Budget Commission say, you have too much money? We're not going to give you those. That doesn't make any sense. And House Bill 335 limits the growth, the GDP deflator, on inside millage. Can you go to the next slide, please? Okay, so you can see that the blue line is our revenue, and the red line is our expenditures. So the red line, we're spending more than we're bringing in. So that's going to cause the fund balance, which is the green line, to decrease, which is what's happening here. We're slightly positive, 328, and we're negative in 29. Go to the next slide, please. So House Bill 129, which I mentioned earlier about the 20 mil floor, it costs us $2.89 million a year and $10.1 million through fiscal year 31, which is a huge impact on us. There's other things in there that districts cannot renew emergency levies. They can only do it once for a 5-year period. So we have 3 emergency levies that are all 10-year emergency levies. They expire in 30, 31, and 34, I think, or 31, 32, 34. It's in like 5 or 6 years. So, but we can only renew those for one time for 5 years. We can't do it for 10 years, even though that's what the voters originally approved. You can't do that anymore. Unless you're in fiscal caution, then you can do an emergency levy once for a 5-year period. But they're trying to get rid of the emergency levies. Go to the next slide, please. So House Bill 186, changed the way the structure for homestead rollback, and the owner occupied. So it used to be 10% if you own the property and another 10% if you own the property and 2.5% if you live in the property. And they're changing the structure. I think they're trying to give taxpayer relief somehow with their new formulas. Can you go to the next slide, please? South Bill 309, I mentioned about the Budget Commission. Cuyahoga County hasn't done this, but I know Geauga County has done it to Chardon and some other school districts and said, you have too much money, we're not going to allow you to have all the money, and we're not giving you all that money. And you can come to us and have a hearing, but we're still going to do whatever we want. So Chardon got hurt. I think West Geauga got hurt, some other districts out there. Go next slide, please. House Bill 335 caps the inside millage growth with a GDP deflator. So if the GDP is about 7% with the deflator. So if there's an reevaluation or valuation, and it's 10 or 15%, they're only going to say you can get 7. You can't get the 15%. So we worked that into our forecast, saying we're just going to put 7% instead of, well, it could go 15% or 20%. It would not allow us to do that anymore. Can you go to the next slide? So funding in the future, we have to have strategies to look at the future, because they're limiting property taxes and all these new bills, and I'm sure there's going to be more bills next year. We don't have to worry about the 100% carryover of putting up a new levy, because we're not even close to that. But that's one of the rules there. They're getting rid of emergency levies and other things I had mentioned there. Can you go to the next slide, please? So the piggyback thing is another thing. Lorain County did this last year, and schools complained about it. It was the homestead rollback. The 10% or the 2.5%, they could double it. So taxpayers would pay less money, but the school district did not get reimbursed for that by the county or the states. If that happened to us, we'd lose $4.59 million. So Cuyahoga County hasn't done it. I don't think they will, but it could always change, because it's something you have to vote on. They have to vote on every year. So if they decide to do it, we could lose more money in the future. Go to the next slide, please. So we're going to be in fiscal precaution after the state reviews our 5-year forecast. They're going to say third year is negative, and you need to come up with a plan, and that's, you can see with our ending balance, which is the yellow, it just keeps getting worse every year. So this is what we expect, and Dr. Hunt mentioned it last meeting, so this is shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. Next slide, please. So we used to be on the formula, so for every student we'd get more money, but now we're on the guarantee. So if we have more kids sign up and we get 100 more kids, we don't get $100 kids times whatever the number it is. We're just flat. We get the guarantee, which is because they say we have a large capacity to pass property taxes and generate that money for ourselves. But we really don't pass levies, so it's, even though we have the capability, it doesn't happen. Can you go to the next slide, please? So our revenues are flat. They're actually negative 0.46%, while our expenditures are increasing 1.19%. So that's going to cause our fund balance to go down, and you'll see that later. Melissa, can you go to the next slide? So there's all these different bills I had mentioned. I mentioned there the 0.46 annually negative revenue, while the expenditures are 1.19. We have to make cuts, or we have to generate additional revenue if we want to reverse the trend that's going right now. Go to the next slide, please. Wages and benefits are estimated 86.9%, which is high, but there's some reasons why it is high for us, because we have our own our career tech or CTE, which a lot of places will they'll send it out to Polaris or Cuyahoga Valley Career Center. So there would be that money would be considered a purchase service and not salaries. So ours is gonna look higher, plus we have our own print shop, while people send it out to you might send it out to a local vendor. So the pie has to equal 100%. I mean, people say, well, if we lower that 86.9%, we save money, but then the pie still has to equal 100. So if wages are going down, something else has to go up. You can't have the pie that's missing a piece. It's got to equal 100%. The next slide, please. So costs continue to rise faster, but cuts not as fast as the CPI. The wages and benefits are growing fastest, of course, and expenses are rising. The next slide. So our district overview is it's really not good. Expenditures are going up. The state's making new laws to limit our tax revenue, and the budget they're cutting every year what they're giving to us. So it's really pretty bleak forecast. And with that, I will take any questions.
Thank you, Mr. Nucio. So I just want to go back to the beginning, and when you were talking about the cash flow issue that we're having, and I know we're not the only district that's facing that. However, when you're a district that is in the financial place that we're in, it severely impacts us, a little bit different than it is probably in other districts. And you were being very kind and not like sounding alarms on that, but I think it's important to talk about what that looks like for us when we hit a cash flow problem, as far as being able to we have to make payroll, obviously, but, there are other areas, obviously, that are going to be impacted.
Yes, so we're going to get the money, but it's going to come on September 15th. But we have a payroll this Friday, and then we have a payroll two weeks after that. And our top priority is making payroll. I don't think Dr. Hunt wants to be on the news saying that we didn't make payroll, so that is priority number one, that employees get paid. Then after that, we have to prioritize what we have to pay. Of course, like certain bills, like we're going to pay our utility bills because we want the lights to stay on. We don't want that, pay the gas, water, sewer, electric, pay those. And then we go through the list of all our bills that we have and say which one are more pressing than others. Some of the bills, we try to reimburse our staff. If they got a permit, it's a $25 reimbursement. We try to do that, try to keep the staff happy. But some of the things that can be pushed off until September 15th, we're going to do that. So it's kind of, I guess, like triage. You got to see which ones are the most important and which ones can be pushed off. And that's what we're going to do, because payroll is number one. And then other bills, we're trying to pay as how important they are.
Like you said, we're in the people business, so.
Yep.
And if we don't have staff, teachers, support staff, the doors don't open, the students are not being taught.
Yeah, if we don't make payroll, I don't think the teachers will come to school and work for free.
Yeah, completely understand that.
And the bus drivers are not going to want to drive buses for free.
Right.
So
I,
we're going to get them paid.
yes, definitely. And then number two, I wanted to talk about, also, there's a lot of legislation that's affecting us, that continues to affect us. I know, like, Dr. Hunt, probably belongs to the Superintendent's Association. I'm assuming.
Yeah, we have OASBO, which is our organization, and the superintendents have BASA, and then there's OSBA, which the board members go to the conference every November. So there are advocates for all three of us.
So we are constantly, that's what I wanted to make sure, that we are talking to the legislators, telling them, and I know there's a lot of people, not only OSBA board members, treasurers, superintendents, I know there's a lot of community members out there are trying to advocate for fair funding and public school funding just in general anymore. So I appreciate all the work that you're doing. And then my last comment, and this can be a bigger discussion with the board, you know, it's looking at this 5-year forecast. I mean, already knowing where we were in year 3, and it just continues to look worse. This is no surprise. You know, I know my fellow board members have been concerned about timing and getting the community input. So I would really love to start having those conversations. I know that I believe it's 100 days, is that we have before we could put a levy on?
So there are different rules depending on the levy. So if
Okay.
it's an income tax levy, there's a 100-day rule that you have to get it down to the Ohio Department of Taxation if it's an income tax levy. If it's not an income tax levy, you just have to get it to the Board of Elections by 90 days prior to. Both of them have to go to the Board of Elections by 90 days, but there's an additional step for income tax, which is the 100-day rule, which falls on a Sunday, so I don't know why they would make such a rule that you have to get the 2 employees who probably don't work on Sunday, but
So we could, as a board, as soon as, I would say, January, we could look at putting another levy on the ballot, end of
well,
January?
90 days before the election's going to be sometime in the first week of February. So if you're going to pass 2 resolutions,
It would
have
start
to
in
be.
January.
You could do it in January. You could do it earlier, but I mean, I guess you can start the communication with the public or the community prior to, and you don't have to wait till January if that's what you guys want to put a levy up for the May election. But of course, a levy to put up for the May election, it won't start collecting until January of '28.
Right. So I would just like to open that up to the board. Is that something that we would like to work towards? I know timing has been an issue, so that gives us plenty of time to start those conversations, maybe start committing to having some town halls. So I would just like to open it up to the rest of the board.
Yeah, I think that would be great. I think the sooner we start having these conversations, the better. Even if it doesn't become the will of the board to put a levy on, I still think these are really important conversations to have. And I mean, I would fully support putting a levy on. Just make that clear. I'm on board for that. But we are also in the communications committee talking about some of these conversations and some of these ways that we want to reach out and we want to connect with the community. Especially connecting with community members that we haven't been able to reach in the past. We really want to make sure that we are being open and that we are welcoming everyone to be able to come in, ask questions, get to know the district, the good things that we're doing here and the things that we need to pass a levy to improve upon. But we are already working and already working on some dates, I believe. I'm hopeful we'll have those solidified after our communications committee meeting this month to be able to bring those back and say, you know, we're committing to this and we're going to do it.
Thank you, Ms. Kerpick.
I'll let the
Dr.
board,
Hunt?
if the board, other board members
board,
want to
you
speak
wanna-
first, I'll wait.
Yeah, I think whenever we could start the conversations would be earlier the better. Thank you.
Yeah, yes, I really love it. I think that's a great timeline, and we start now just talking about it, and then January, really ramp it up and just get going. It's a great idea.
Thank you. So actually, just a couple of things. I want to make sure that I continue to repeat this. So as we look to May, we have 9,000 students and families we need to take care of here. That has to be our focus, should remain our focus, should always be our focus, and nothing else should be but that. That's first. Second, next month on September the 3rd, I've invited Kim Richard, Director of the Office of Financial Oversight at the Department of Education and Workforce, to attend our board meeting and present publicly to the board each area of fiscal status. So that first status is, Sean mentioned, we're going to get a fiscal distress letter. But I think it's also important for the board to hear from the state what it looks like when we're in caution, watch, and emergency. And as I I shared last month, or at the last meeting, we are on the pathway to fiscal emergency. I wonder, Sean, if could we go back to the slide where the expenditure or revenue, you had the lines, the red, the straight lines? I just want to point out a couple of things if I could. And there's a lot up here, and I'm sure as you're looking in the audience or if you're watching at home, you know, there's a lot of stuff up here to try to swim through to get to, you know, what this really means. So when I look at this, and I also, I do this every time we talk or present about, you know, having to ask for a levy, is that cash balance policy, our 60-day policy, which typically is about $26 million that we have to have in reserves. And if you remember at the last meeting, I talked about our bathtub and having revenue come into the system to sustain what we do for students and families, and what happens when that hole in the tub leaks out all of the water. That's where we're at. So when I see the revenue versus expenditure, I'm sure it could raise a lot of questions. But I wanted to point out in some of the items, in this particular chart and some of the items that you shared, this isn't something that we've done to ourselves. We have rising costs, we have salary and benefits, we have required things that we have to pay, and when you don't have money coming into the system, you spend down your reserve, and that's where we're at. And if you look at that, I think it's 501, or what's the line, 501 on the forecast, 6.01, if you look at that, that's where you show that 16 million drop off in 29. But if you look at 30 and 31, that goes from 16 million to 60. Is it 60 on that on the forecast? And so that is not because of something we did. And I did share with the board, we will have a plan as we head into the fall on what we need to reduce out of our budget. But that is not going to get us out of trouble. We need to generate revenue. There are two mechanisms, property tax, income tax. That's it. That's why this is critically important that we stay on top of this. So in September, we'll have Kim Richard come in to talk through that, but my intent isn't to wait until January to start talking about the levy. Because I'm going to recommend again, I'm going to recommend it right now, that we start talking about it so that we can get resolutions on the agenda for you to consider. Because that's what we're going to need to do next if we want to generate revenue for our district. And we certainly need our community involved in that, most especially 9,000 students and their families, because that's who we serve. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. Can you hear me? Something's happening with them. Testing? Okay. So thank you, Dr. Hunt. So I know we all just said yes, that we would like to do that, but I would really like to talk about at least committing right now. We have September, October, November, and December that we could do at least one town hall meeting. Oh, I see you wanting to say something really bad about that. Go ahead.
I think through communications, we've already picked dates for October, November, and December. So we've already got 3 dates picked for 3 meetings.
Yeah, so I hear that. So who is that going to be led by, though?
Dr. Hunt, I will let you,
I guess you're looking
take
at
the
it.
lead on this one.
It'll be our district staff, our team, and depending upon what topic we want to present to the community, and most likely it's going to be about, you know, whatever other side topics will be about how we need to raise revenue for the district.
Dr. Hunt, do you think at our next board meeting, because we have a communications meeting coming up this week, I think at that meeting, we could prepare some more information about what these sessions are going to look like and present it to the board at our next meeting. That way you guys know what we're planning on doing, you know, what to expect, because it is very different from some of the events and some of the conversations that we've hosted before. So I think at our next board meeting, we could really talk about what we're going to do, and then we could decide at that meeting if there's something else, like if that's missing a component that we want to also have. And then we could, because we can have I'm good for as many community conversations as the board thinks is necessary. I think more is better, of course.
I'm okay with how we do that. I'm not trying to dictate it has to be that way. I guess I know collectively as a board, I want to make sure that we're all on the same page, that that serves as hearing from the community. Is that the desire, or was the desire to actually have board meetings, to have the community come in and give input? I wanted to make that distinction. I'm okay with moving forward with that, but I wanted to see how the rest of the board felt.
Yeah, I think more is better. So whichever, I don't know enough about the community, the conversations, yeah. I don't know how that's, the layout of that, or how that's gonna
Yeah,
look.
the last one we did was, here, we talked about, it was for the last levy request. So it was really about district finances and what we were proposing. But I guess my challenge to you want to get outside of the box? Let's get out to the community and ask them to invite us in. People don't come here for this stuff, so.
Yeah, I agree.
So if you got friends, neighbors, that regardless of where they stand on this issue, they all need to hear about what is happening here. Because without revenue and a strong school system, property values here will plummet, I guarantee it. So we need to get out there. So I've said this before, invite me to your house, we'll have a cookout, and I'll talk about school stuff. So I challenge the four of you to tap into your communities, and I'm happy to come out and talk to anybody about what we're facing. And whatever that setup or format looks like, we're flexible.
I don't cook. So we'll have
Pizza.
to do pizza.
And salad.
Anybody else? Okay.
Mrs. Sebastian, I have some
yes.
questions for Mr.
Yeah.
Nucio. Thank you. Just a couple of questions, Mr. Nucio. So this, on this slide, new August and February forecast filing, so there's a note on here that says, new forecast rules require baseline year to match district final appropriations.
What slide are you on, just so I
It's
can?
the one that says, new August and February forecast filing deadlines inhibit, what is this, the third slide? Yep, that one, yeah.
Okay.
And so the third point, I'm just trying to get some, if you could educate me on what that means and how does that affect your forecasting? The third bullet point, new. Oh, you mean the mic.
Okay, it's working now. I'm sorry, so which one are you asking about?
Yeah, so the third bullet point where it says, new forecast rules require a baseline year to match district final appropriations.
So baseline year would be right now would be in fiscal year 27, so they're saying when they do the forecast in May, not May, it's February now, those forecasts, the final appropriation should be that. But of course, it's gonna change. I mean, you could do that, but things are gonna change. If you do final appropriations in February, or this matches your final appropriations, February, you still have, 4 months left in the year, so it's kind of an unrealistic thing. I don't know if any of these people are actually in finance, but does it make any sense in February to say, well, your 5-year forecast and your final appropriations are gonna be the same, because, things can happen, and it's not always gonna match.
So what happens if it doesn't match?
There's no repercussions.
Okay. Okay. And then, so I was comparing this forecast to the forecast in February, and line 15.01, this forecast shows the unreserved fund balance of 40.3 million, and that line item in February showed 49.4 million. Can you just walk me through how there's such a big difference in the forecasting on that?
So the biggest one there is the advances. The advances were $4.2 million, which was board approved at the last meeting in June. And on the let's see, I keep getting messed up with these months. The February forecast, I think it was 500,000, but in reality it was 4.2. And those advances are going to cover negative fund balances. So when it's board approved in June, you're just taking the money from the general fund and you're advancing it to other funds. Then we close the year, and after we close the year, we return the money to the general fund. So it's like a short-term loan, which is just the money is, it's a wash. I mean, the money's going back to the general fund, but it's just there to cover negative fund balances so we don't get a citation under 5705.10. But that, it's really not spending money. We're just moving it, then we're moving it back. So that's 4.2 million. I think it was 500,000 was listed in February. Another one is encumbrances. I think encumbrances were 500,000, and I think in the August one, it's 1.6 mil. The actual number was 1.6 million, because after we closed the year, when we're the process of closing the year, where we're closing purchase orders, and that's what encumbrances are, purchase orders. So there were some purchase orders we have to leave open because these are things we ordered in fiscal year 26 that we're going to pay for in fiscal year 27 when the bills come in and the parts or services are done. So that's right there. That's another $1 million. That's about $5.2 million. And I think revenues were maybe slightly higher and expenditures were slightly higher. But you're looking at what you think is going to be in February and what they actually happen in June. I mean, it's like a weather forecast. If you ask me, what's the weather going to be like on next Wednesday, I can give you an educated guess by watching the news, but then come Wednesday, as you get better information, it might not be what they said today on Wednesday. It's going to be different. And it's an estimate. It's a forecast. No one's ever going to be 100% accurate on the forecast. If I was 100% accurate on something, I wouldn't be a school treasurer. I'd be probably making money somewhere else. But I mean, I'm a school treasurer. This is just a forecast. It's an estimate.
Thank you, Mr. Nucio. And so also line 4.5 total expenditures was, there was a $3 million difference from February to this forecast. Is it common to have that much of a difference in 6 months?
And if we have a $160 million budget and you're off by $2 million from the forecast to the actual, I mean, what is it, 1%, 0.5%? I mean, it's a low number. If it's a smaller school district who had a $10 million budget and you're off $2 million, then it's significant. For us, it's not significant.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Nucio.
Yep.
That's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. We now are going to move to, I do not believe we have a PTA council report. Okay, we do not. So we are going to move to public comment for items on the agenda. I do not believe we have, no, we do not have any public comments prior to. So we will now move into business. Mr. Reyes, am I right? Are you business?
No, it's Mr. McCune.
It's McCune.
I would like to motion Resolution 2026-08-364, approval for determined safety zones.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-364. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Yeah, I have a question. Dr. Hunt, what are these safety zones? What do they indicate or mean for our community?
Yeah, they indicate areas where we would transport a student, like a four-way highway, that we won't put kids on a bus in those spaces, so they're designated safety zones. And we approve those each year so that we are aware that we're not going to put kids or families in dangers by having those spots, be a bus loading zone.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-364 has been approved.
I would like to motion Resolution 2026-08-365, declaring select pupil impractical transport for the 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-365. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-365 has been approved.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-366, authorizing pupil transportation agreement with Suburban Transportation.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-366. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes, sorry, I don't know why I second that.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes. Resolution 2026-08-366 has been approved. I thought you guys were playing a prank on me.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-367, authorizing pupil transportation agreement with JB Safety First Transportation.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-367. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-367 has been approved.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-368, authorizing pupil transportation agreement with Tender Loving Care Transportation Company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-368. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-368 has been approved.
I would like to motion Resolution 2026-08-369, authorizing pupil transportation agreement with Sunshine Transportation Company.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-369. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-369 has been approved.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-370, authorization to continue to provide transportation for First Step students with disabilities.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-370. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-370 has been approved.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-371, approving alternate transportation companies for field trips and athletic events when district transportation is not available.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-371. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-371 has been approved.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-372, approval of the Parma City School District bus routes for 2026-2027 school year.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-372. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-372 has been approved.
I'd like to motion Resolution 2026-08-373, approving agreement for the SFSPAC Food Service Sanitation and Safety Program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-373. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-373 has been approved.
Do any further board members have any other further discussions tonight on the business resolutions?
Concludes
Thank you.
business.
Concludes business.
Okay. Curriculum.
Thank you. I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-374, granting authority to the administration to enter into a contract with the family during the 2026-2028 school years.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-374. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-374 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-375, Effective Leadership Academy's High School Career Leadership Academy Program.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-375. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-375 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-376, authorizing the purchase of student headsets for elementary literacy assessments and progress monitoring.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-376. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-376 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-377, approval of the 2026-2027 Parent-Student Handbook.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-377. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
I have a question, please.
Yeah.
Dr. Hunt, when I was just kind of glazing over this, I noticed just like a small error. There was an employee listed that's no longer with the district in the handbook. I know you said that would be corrected, but I just had a clarifying question for that. When there's corrections, do they have to come back for board approval, or are, small errors like that able to just be corrected as they're noticed and it doesn't have to be reapproved every time?
That's a great question. My answer would be, would be a technical change, so we're replacing a name of someone who is not here, which we've done already, by the way. What you're looking at, we have this link, so it's really a living document. that we can make adjustments to, and I think we put a disclaimer on it that this is subject to change for those kinds of reasons. So I don't believe the board needs to reapprove the handbook for something like that. But if there was a change in the law that we had to make, we would most likely come back here and ask you to review it and approve it.
Mr. Nucio has some.
So
something to
when I've
say.
spoken with legal in the past about errors like that, they said if it's just a clerical error, then it does not need to be reapproved. But if it's something material or substantial to the agreement or the handbook, then it would have to come back and be approved. But if it's an employee who's no longer here, that's just be a clerical error and that can be corrected, and you do not need to bring it back to vote.
Okay, perfect. That's what I was hoping the answer would be, or we'd be voting on the handbook the whole year. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kerpick. If there's no one else, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-377 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-378, approval of the 2026-2027 First Step Preschool Family Handbook.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-378. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-378 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-379, approval of the DS Media Agreement.
Second?
We have a motion and a second. We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-379. Are there any questions or comments from the board? I just, I would like, if Mr. Nucio, if you don't mind, talking about what this means, because I think it's pretty cool, so.
Yeah, so this is something that it's been going in the business committee probably 6 months now. They're digital scoreboards that are going to be at both high schools, and there's going to be a company selling the advertisement on these boards. And it's a 7-year contract, so that scares me, of course, because that's a long time. So we had our legal and their legal going back and forth probably for about 2 months, maybe even longer, working out the agreement. So it's beneficial for both of us, and if it doesn't work out, it's not something that's going to hamper us forever. So our athletic director, he's in favor of this, and it's probably going to be something good for us. And they could also use it when it's not athletic events. They can use the scoreboard for other things, which curriculum could use during the school day. So other districts use it. I know North Royalton has it. I'm sure there are others, but I know North Royalton has it, and they love it. So it's something our athletic director is pushing, and because he says other districts do it, and they love it there. So it should not be a concern for us, according to him.
Thank you, Mr. Nucio, and I know that 7 years scared you.
It
Yep.
does.
And it should, right? Anybody else? Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-379 has been approved.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, this will conclude curriculum.
Thank you, Ms. Kerpick. We will now move on to finance.
Thank you, Ms. Sebastian. I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-380, approval of the monthly report.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-380. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-380 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-381, adoption of updated 2026-2027 budget estimated and fiscal projections for fiscal years 2026, 2027, 2028, 2029, 2030, and 2031.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-381. Are there any questions or comments from the board?
Ms. Sebastian?
Yes.
Thank you. Mr. Nucio, I just want to make sure I'm reading this correctly. In the forecast notes, on page 15, it says this for planning purposes, wage estimates of 0% for fiscal year 27 to 31 have been factored into the forecast. So there's zero base increase in this current forecast?
that is correct.
Okay. Is it possible to get one with base increases?
Well, we're negotiating with OPSI right now, so it would not be wise to put in the amount percentage until we know what it is.
Do we have a
It might-
timeline on
It could
that?
be zero, could be higher. We have a timeline, we are still in negotiations. I think we meet next Wednesday with the OPSI, and there's probably gonna be other sessions after that. And then, once we come to an agreement, we have to bring the agreement to the board to pass that agreement, or I should say to vote on that agreement. And if it passes, then we would update the forecast, but I can't say that's even gonna happen before the February forecast. I sure hope so. I'm sure Dr. Hunt hopes so too, but I can't say for sure.
Thank you, Mr. Nucio. That's all I have.
Anyone else? Okay. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-381 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-382, ratification of investments.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-382. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-382 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-383, supplemental appropriations.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-383. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-383 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-384, acceptance of activity purpose statement.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-384. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-384 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-385, approval of an agreement with Loomlight.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-385. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026 -08-385 has been approved.
Do any other board members have anything further to discuss regarding finance? This concludes finance. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Reyes. Human Resources.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-386. Approval of the following certified exhibits: confirmation of certified appointments, confirmation of certified replacements, confirmation of stipend amounts, and confirmation of supplemental appointments.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-386. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes. Resolution 2026-08-386 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-387. Confirmation of certified administrative replacements.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-387. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes. Resolution 2026-08-387 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-388, bus duty substitute appointment.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-388. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes. Resolution 2026-08-388 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-389. Approval of the following classified exhibits: confirmation of classified appointments, confirmation of classified replacements, confirmation of change in classified assignments, acceptance of classified resignations, approval of classified non-compensated leaves of absence, and confirmation of classified stipends.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-389. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Seeing none, roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-389 has been approved.
I move to adopt Resolution 2026-08-390, acceptance of classified retirements.
Second?
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-390. Are there any questions or comments from the board? Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Ms. Kerpick,
Yes.
Mr. McCune,
Yes.
Mr. Reyes,
Yes.
Mrs. Sebastian,
Yes, Resolution 2026-08-390 has been approved.
Dr. Hunt?
I have some folks to introduce, if that's okay.
Yes, that is
before you
okay.
vote.
We'll allow you to do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I can't see with the TV in the way, sorry. So we do have some new teachers in the audience, so I'm going to call your name if you just stand to be recognized. Amy Reshney. Is Amy here? There's Amy. Amy is joining the Parma City School District as a Title I teacher at Shiloh Middle School. She earned her bachelor's degree in middle school education with a concentration in ELA and social studies from Bowling Green State University. So welcome, Amy. Kathleen Zafalos. Is Kathleen here? We're going to clap anyway. Kathleen joins Parma City Schools as an intervention specialist at Greenbrier Middle School. She earned her bachelor's degree in moderate intensive intervention at Cleveland State University and a master's degree in educational leadership from Notre Dame College. So welcome, Kathleen Mack. Kathleen Mack is joining the district as a teacher at the Parma Academy of Gifted Enrichment at Parma Park. Kathleen earned a bachelor's degree in education from Ohio University and a master's degree in curriculum and instruction from Cleveland State University. And Justin Prentice. Is Justin here? Justin's joining Parma City Schools as an intervention specialist at Greenbrier Middle School, and he earned his bachelor's degree in education from the University of Akron. So welcome to our new staff. Thank you.
Unless another board member has anything to discuss, this will conclude Human Resources. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Kerpick. Policies, we do not have policies. Oh, do you have something?
Correct. No, I was just,
Oh, you're just going to tell me I was right?
I was going to say we don't have anything.
Okay.
I thought you were just going to call policy.
All right. So any information requested by board members? No, we do not have that either tonight. Okay, so that takes us to our public comment portion of the meeting. So at this point, we will open the meeting to the public to address the board with comments and/or concerns. We do have, oh, we got more. Great. Let me put those in order. So we do have, looks like 4 requests. Requests to be heard forms were to be completed and submitted in person to the administrative secretary. All statements shall be directed to the board president. As per policy 0169.1, comments that are repetitive, obscene, disparaging, abusive, irrelevant, and/or comments that constitute a threat will not be tolerated, and the speaker will be asked to stop speaking and/or to leave the meeting. Please know that various board policies exist which set forth processes and procedures to be used in investigating and addressing personnel issues and cannot be addressed in public. As per board policies, we may not be able to respond directly or address some of the issues at this time. If information is not readily available, we will respond at our next meeting. 3 minutes has been allotted per speaker. Please remember to state your name and city. I think we're doing now. You do not have to state your address, just your name and city for the record. Would Martin Stanzik please come to the microphone?
I'm prepared with my name and address, and now you've changed name to city, so I have to rememorize that part. Very simply, this is directed to Dr. Hunt through you, Ms. Sebastian. Last week, he mentioned a conversation he had with Kim Richards in terms of the planning for the school. I would like to know if he ever discussed with him the revenue-producing function here of having a layoff and having people reduced, because he seems to avoid that all the time when I ask him about that. So I would like to know if that came up in the discussion, and when you guys do meet with her on September 3rd, I think it was said, is I would like to find out if she's involved with that, because she's very high up there, and she dealt with Cleveland. I'm sure she's dealt with Cleveland schools, Lorraine schools, Columbus schools, which have had layoffs as a way to create revenue. And I just would like to know if he did discuss that with her, or if they never discussed that. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Stanzik. Did you want to add anything, Dr. Hunt?
So the discussion with Ms. Richard, and I'm, whether you know this or not, when I worked at the department, Kim and her staff reported to me. So as I've shared, very well versed in the school financial oversight aspect of what happens in schools when you head down this path. So I didn't specifically discuss with her cutting staff. And to answer your question, I think I've mentioned here that we know that if we're going to reduce out this much money, that it will require some sort of reduction in force. I've not come forward with that until we absolutely needed to. And as we head into the fall, it looks like we're going to need to, because we can't seem to generate the revenue necessary to operate our district. So I did share that we would have a plan, that we are doing a deep dive into the budget, and that I will provide the board here in January what that could potentially look like, and that will likely include a reduction in force. And I also mentioned, I think previously, that if you just using the numbers that we're going by, that it would be equivalent of 150 people. But I've also said, we're in a people business, we teach kids, and the part of our budget that goes toward teaching kids in the classroom is primarily our teachers and resources that they need. So we've tried to avoid that because our parents and our kids deserve a high-quality education. You can't do that without teachers.
Thank you, Dr. Hunt. And I would just like to add that definitely should not be a first line of defense and looking at cutting teachers, staff. Again, I'm going to go back to what Mr. Nucio said. We're in the people business. We are educating children for our future, and any reduction in staff would be detrimental. Any. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So just like to add that. Thank you very much. Angela Schwark, please come to the microphone.
Angela Schwark, Parma. I was fortunate enough to be present for your board retreat last Wednesday. Several things said that day caused me great confusion and concern. Mr. McCune stated that he didn't respond to fellow board members' emails because he didn't know he was allowed to, yet he recently sent an email to all of the PTA presidents from his Westside Catholic Center email address to let them know about what he does at work, complete with links. It wasn't board business, nor district business. It was from his employment email and was significantly unrelated to anything appropriate to be emailing PTA presidents about. Mr. Reyes advised that he voted no to put the levy on the ballot because, excuse me, he doesn't want to put a levy on the ballot that unless he knows it will win. First, you can never be sure when a levy will win. Second, it's his and 2 other board members' supporters that are the no voters. He stated the district needs to try other things in order to pass a levy. From where I'm sitting, the 3 of those board members could get it passed by supporting it themselves and having discussions with those who support them. Be the charge that moves this district forward toward more community support. That's what your job is. Not consorting with those who keep insisting on chaos and negativity for our district and at its meetings. I'm also very concerned with Mr. Reyes' commitment to serving this district and the children within it as the board member that insisted board members were included in the safety task force, but whom left early the first meeting and then failed to show up for all subsequent meetings. I find it hard to believe that he's committed to the work. He took up a spot where another committed member could have served. He wasn't present for graduation this year. He's missed at least 1 committee meeting. He advised that 2.5 days isn't enough time for him to review the agenda and ask appropriate questions in order to be prepared for the meeting. I rarely see him at any district functions. What does he have time for as it pertains to his responsibility to this district? May I also suggest that a board norm that you guys add is that nobody is text messaging during, no board members are text messaging during the meeting. It's a little disheartening and unsettling. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Schwark. Tiffany Underheil, would you please come to the microphone? Can you start the timer? You have the timer going? Okay.
Tiffany Underheil, Parma. Tonight I will be reading from the Ohio School Board's Code of Ethics. While serving as a member of my Board of Education, I will accept the responsibility to improve education. To that end, I will remember that my first and greatest concern must be the educational welfare of all students attending the public schools. Obey the laws of Ohio and the United States. Respect the confidentiality of privileged information. Recognize that as an individual board member, I have no authority to speak or act for the board. work with other members to establish effective board policies. Delegate authority for the administration of the schools to the superintendent and staff. Encourage ongoing communications among board members, the board, students, staff, and community. Render all decisions based on the available facts and my independent judgment rather than succumbing to the influence of individuals or special interest groups. Make every effort to attend all board meetings. Become informed concerning the issues to be considered at each meeting. Become informed, I'm sorry, I read that one already. Improve my boardsmanship by studying educational issues and by participating in in-service programs. Support the employment of staff members based on qualifications and not as a result of influence. Cooperate with other board members and administrators to establish a system of regular and impartial evaluations of all staff. Avoid conflicts of interest or the appearance thereof. Refrain from using my board position for benefit of myself, family members, or business associates. Express my personal opinions, but once the board has acted, accept the will of the majority. I hope that all of you follow these ethics. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Underhow. Kevin Kusma, will you come to the microphone?
Thank you, Madam President. Kevin Kuzmal, Parma. First, I wanted to say that I've known Ken Trump for many years now, and I think he is a great tool and resource for the security for the schools. I know he is renowned throughout the country for his work, so I wanted to commend the district on using Ken. Madam President, I would like to first apologize. I was not able to make most of the board retreat, so the questions I had may have been answered there, so I apologize if they've already been answered. My question to you, Madam President, if able to answer, during the board retreat, were any of the talk about the committee's assignments, revisions for assignments, has that been established? Is it on the website?
Do you want to pause his minutes, Melissa, so I can respond? Is it paused? Okay. So that did come up in committee, and if you're speaking specifically to board member McCune, he shared with us at the retreat that he was not interested in being on any committees. Is that right, Mr. McCune?
Well, I didn't want to cause any turmoil going into the school year, so yeah, right at this time, there's no reason, you know, we decided that there's no reason to kind of rock the boat and change anything until the school gets going and the year's going and everyone's moving along.
Thank you. Does that answer your question?
Madam President, thank you. My next one was going to be the board meeting times. Has that been discussed too? Obviously, the board needs to be at the meeting, but as we can see from the empty seats behind me, maybe a later time might accommodate for some of those community conversations to get more people here. Was that discussed?
Paused? Okay. So that also was discussed in our retreat. Actually, we're going to be discussing, I'm bringing some issues up in new business around that. However, Mr. Kusma, we've talked about this. As you said, you've been in this district a long time, so have I.
Lifelong.
I have seen the meeting times at 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, 7 o'clock, and you never see a packed house. So, I mean, and I hear you on, you know, using that as a reference to changing the times. But again, we have to work with, and we already struggle with, all of us work full-time jobs and have full-time lives. So we have to work with the board that's able to show up and be here. So I appreciate the concerns, but it is going to be a further discussion for other reasons.
Thank you, Madam President. My next question was going to be, at the previous board meeting, former Board of Education member brought up a question asking about Board Member Reyes about the packet for the ethics paperwork. And there was a question of, did Mr. Reyes receive that packet? with that ethics paperwork in there, and then where does that stand right now? That may have been discussed at the board retreat. Did he get that original document to sign, and where does that stand right now, if you're able to answer that, Madam President?
I'll look at Mr. Nucio for that.
So my office fulfilled Mr. Reyes' records request, where he requested everything that he signed that's in his file, and that was sent to him last week. And at the board retreat last Wednesday, Mr. Reyes signed that form that you're just talking about, the conflict of interest form. So we put that in his file, and I think the records request is fulfilled, and there are no issues at this time.
Madam President, and this might be me just missing it, so I apologize, but it sounds like it's rectified now, but did we determine if he ever got the paper to sign?
So I gave the paper to him at the January 6th retreat that we had at the Educational Service Center of Northeast Ohio, and it was not returned to me, but he did sign one at the last meeting on Wednesday, August 18th. I'm not sure what the date was. 14th, was it August 14th or whatever the Wednesday is, 13th, I'm not sure what the date was, but at the retreat, he signed that form, so it's been corrected.
That's great to hear. Madam President, last point, I've said before to previous boards, and the offer still stands to this board, I think the community conversations you guys are having is a great idea. There's many residents that have a great deal of distrust with this district, unfortunately. Some who have worked for this district or currently work for this district, I know, because they're my residents and have told me. My offer still stands to you. I'd love to be of any help. As Dr. Hunt stated, and I've told him previously, as well as members of this board, that I would love to be help of any of those community conversations, Madam President. My offer still stands. All of you have my phone number. You know how to reach me. Love to be able to participate in that, Madam President.
Thank you, Mr. Kuzma. Does that conclude your?
That does,
3
that
minutes?
does. So I'm happy to help however I can for the district, Madam President.
Thank
Thank
you. Thank you. I would also like to say to Mr. Kuzma, as far as the mistrust, you know, you're a councilman. There's a lot of mistrust within the city. If you look at Facebook pages, you look at social media. No, but your 3 minutes, I just asked you if you concluded, so I don't want to have a back and forth. That's why I was respectful of your time. Again, you know, there are people in your ward that may have reached out to me and told me that there was mistrust within the community. If I looked at City Hall or I went to council meetings, I would probably hear the same thing. So I would hope that you would understand. I think that's a battle that we all face. What doesn't help is perpetrating and putting out misinformation or aligning and pushing the mistrust. And I'm not saying that that's something you're doing. I'm just saying if you want to help us get this levy passed. That's how you can help. I would love for you to. No, we can have a conversation, but you know, right now your 3 minutes are up. But I would love for you to be part of our levy committee. That would be great. Thank you. Okay, so that is it with public comment. Now we are going to move into new business. And as I had mentioned, and this is not new to the board, this is something that we talked about in the retreat, but I thought this would be a good place to start. I would really like to have a discussion about moving forward with looking at, we kind of left the conversation at the retreat that we wanted to move the date of the meeting because of the concerns with getting the agenda in time, having enough time to process that information. So I want to open the discussion on if we would like to move forward with looking at a change. We were also talking about, I believe we were talking about having a board meeting on a Monday would produce even more time because we would have the weekend. So if we had an agenda meeting on Wednesday, then we would have, it would be, it would go live for us to get the information. The next day, that would be Thursday. And then it would actually give the community more time as well. And then I'm trying to think of what else we talked about. So maybe doing like a Monday, and whether or not we want to move forward with that. I would recommend that we waited until the organizational meeting to start that. I just think we've had so many changes this year, but I like to open up for discussion.
I'm good with, oh. Yeah, I'm fine with that. I mean, I'm flexible to whatever we want to do and whenever we want to start it. I agree that we have had a lot of changes. I would be fine with starting this as soon as we can now. I don't really feel strongly about waiting until the organizational meeting. Of course, if we are able, if we are able to do that possibly. But yeah, I'm good with that. I also feel fine about the amount of time I have with the agenda now. I've never really felt a strong need to have more time. I feel like I can get all my questions answered, but Mondays are good with me.
I appreciate that, Ms. Kerpick, but I know it is a concern with other board members that.
Absolutely, yeah. And I really like the thought of doing it Monday and having those extra days over the weekend, especially if, now that we're like getting back into school and all that, the weeks are crazy, and I would love to have it over the weekend to just be able to have more time to digest.
I thought that this was going to be something that we were going to kind of talk about organically and wait till after the first of the year before we looked at it, just so that the community can know 5 o'clock, this is the day, we'll work around whatever agenda. And really, it hasn't been any, for me, it's been IT issues. But I thought we were going to hold off a little bit and then get the school year started, kind of like the committee, where we were going to get things going, see where we were, and make sure that the community had time to kind of navigate around that as well.
So just for clarity, are you okay with the proposals of maybe moving it to a Monday, but you're saying that you would rather wait till the organizational meeting to make the changes? Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I guess my concern would be operationally, could you move the agenda setting to a Wednesday? Is it easier, harder? I mean, yeah.
Yeah, we can be as flexible as we need to be. I think we just communicate with staff that we're moving the days, and I think for you, as we discussed, it provides you with additional time to go through the items. I recognize that oftentimes there are a lot of things to read through and make sure you have an understanding and have any questions that you might have answered prior to the meeting, which is, for me, that's ideal. I'd rather do that prior to coming to the meeting and knowing that you have your questions answered. So yeah, well, I think we're flexible with however this board wants to move with it.
So would it be easier to move the agenda setting meeting to a Friday and then leave board meetings as is on Thursday? Would that be easier?
I'll let Sean weigh in on that because he's shaking his head over there.
Or a Thursday.
So a lot of times employees take off on Fridays, so if you're having the organizational meeting, not the organization, I'm sorry, the agenda meeting on Friday, it might be difficult for some people to attend, and if you're going to have the agenda sent out on Friday, well, we need information and documentation from all the departments, and if their employees are not working, then it's not something that my staff could get the agenda to you guys on a Friday. So it's better on a Thursday that we get the agenda out to the staff. My only concern on Mondays is during the year, there are federal holidays which fall on Monday. We got Labor Day, we got Memorial Day, those two that come to mind. So I guess we'd have to plan it so it doesn't fall, board meeting doesn't fall on Labor Day or Memorial Day. But that's something we could look at the calendars ahead of time.
I guess my question is, would it make more sense just to move the agenda setting meeting and not the board meeting itself?
So you're saying having the agenda meeting like on a Wednesday and then there's like 8 days?
Wednesday or
before you have-
Thursday?
So
If
7 or 8,
Fridays, I have the question.
7 or 8 days, and then you have the board meeting. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah, so we, like, if we had the, well, if you had the agenda setting meeting on Thursday and released it to us on Friday, or even on Monday, if we received it on Monday, that would still give us, extra day and a half, the agenda.
Whatever the board decides they want us to do, we can make
Yeah,
it work.
I'm happy to work with Madam President to maybe bring some options back for you to look at. And then you'll have something at least you can look at and say, this looks best for us. And again, I think for us, as long as we have the time for staff to pull all the information that's necessary for the agenda, all of the, executive content that you would go through, we're flexible, but we can certainly talk through some 3 or 4 options, and you can have this discussion again and determine when you want to do it, how you want to do it.
Thank you.
I'm not, I'm not sure how I like the idea of doing the agenda meeting a week prior to the actual board meeting for many reasons. But I definitely think we need to have more discussions, because it sounds like we're all in agreement that we need more time. But I don't know if we're in agreement with, and I hear from most of us that we're okay with moving the time. It sounds like, or moving the date. It sounds like you're not. Is that correct? I just want to make sure.
I'm just asking if it makes more sense to move the agenda setting meeting instead of the board meeting. I'm just trying to work through it with everyone.
But
that's
right,
all.
and that's okay, but I just kind of wanted to get a feel too, if it's not, are you good with moving the date? If
So-
that's something that we would.
So if we move the board meeting dates to a Monday,
Yeah,
then would the agenda meeting still be the Monday before?
no,
Or would you move the agenda meeting also?
no, we just talked about the agenda meeting would be on a Wednesday. And then we would have Thursday it would go live for us, so we could go in and see. And then Friday, it would be available to the public. Right?
It's usually available to the public on the day of the meeting.
It's not, it's usually the day after we have it. That's why I thought it would
No,
be.
it's the day of the meeting.
It's not.
It
Doesn't go
goes
right. Well,
live right now.
But if we have the agenda meeting on a Monday, we get it on Tuesday, then it's the next day
It's Thursday.
Midnight.
Thursday
it's
at
Wednesday night.
Yeah.
Thursday at
Thursday at
midnight.
midnight.
Okay,
so
but it's Wednesday night, right? It's the next day.
If you stay up, I'm in
Okay.
bed.
Well, yes, I mean, there are people that might go on at midnight. I'm just saying, so, but it's still, so you're saying that we would then not have that posted until, what,
Right now
it
it's-
wouldn't be on it would be on Sunday?
Right now, it's posted the day of the meeting. Whatever the day of the meeting is posted at 12:01. Or at the
So it would be Sunday if we decided,
No, whatever day the meeting is.
I'm
If the me-
sorry.
If the meeting's on Monday, the public gets it on Monday.
It would be Sunday evening, though, that's what I'm
They get
saying.
it at midnight. They get it at midnight the night before, so 12:01.
What's so-
First thing,
Okay.
Sunday night,
It's
Monday morning.
Monday morning at 12:01.
Yes.
Sunday.
Okay. I understood what you were saying. So they still would be getting it the same day.
Yes.
It wouldn't change anything for the public,
No.
but it would change it for us.
It'd give the board members more time to prepare.
We would still have Wednesday, they get the video, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. I think that's sufficient time to have. Why are you looking at me like that?
What do you mean? I'm just,
I mean, do you have a question?
you guys gotta bear with me. I'm a very slow processor.
No, it's okay.
It takes me a while to, so
I'm
please bear with me.
asking, like, for,
No, I
that
guess,
wasn't.
I guess I'm just trying to figure out, so if we're moving the agenda meeting and the board meeting, I'm just trying to, I think it would make more sense just to move one of the meetings instead of both. I mean, if we move the agenda meeting to a Thursday, not Friday, a Thursday, that would give us more time and also administration more time to respond to any questions and leave the board meeting on Thursday, so. But that's just how I process things, so. But,
Dr. Hunt and I can bring you guys some scenarios, and then you don't have to vote on it until the organizational meeting.
Yeah, I
so
want to make sure that,
You
know,
guys can look over our
operationally-
scenarios and say, vote whichever one you guys think is best.
I just want to be clear that I was fine with the board meetings where they were. We're trying to address the concerns
Yeah.
that we keep running into, and I feel like it's affecting our board governance where, that there is a question, and I'm trying to address that there's not enough time to review the materials, and it's also not giving enough time to administration to get back, and it's causing the votes to be, no, because you don't feel like you're getting the information. So I'm trying to address that, and that's something that was brought up in the retreat. So I just want to clarify, this is not me trying to change meeting times. I'm trying to address the concerns of the rest of the board. I hope that's clear. Okay. So you are going to finish up with new business. You and Dr. Hunt are going to come in with a few scenarios, one of them being changing the meeting date and time, or date, maybe to a Monday, or Mr. Reyes's scenario of preparing the agenda a week ahead of time.
We'll give you a bunch of scenarios, and you guys decide what you want to do.
I don't know if there's a bunch out there, but
We'll come up with some scenarios. How's that?
I know 1201.
1201.
Thank you. Is not Sunday evening, it's Monday morning.
Right.
Okay, so with that being said, we will go ahead and move on to, we are not, I believe, I just want to clarify, we are not doing executive session tonight. Okay, sorry, I thought you were.
Oh, no, I was just waiting a second.
Okay, so with that being said, I moved to adopt Resolution 2026-08-392 to adjourn the meeting.
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt Resolution 2026-08-392. Roll call, please, Mr. Nucio.
Mrs. Sebastian.
Yes.
Ms. Kerpick.
Yes.
Mr. McCune.
Yes.
Mr. Reyes.
Yes.
Meeting adjourned.